Okay, everybody, hello, and basically Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Happy Yuletide, Happy Midwinter Festival by whatever name you choose to give it. Happy Festival of Human Light for those who are disbelievers in whatever it is that's out there. And I just thought that for my own personal little video celebration of the season, I would dip into one of these. Okay, this is a deck I picked up from the Mind Body Spirit show when I was out there. And I thought it looked fun. I have not opened it, still cellophane wrapped. So this is like my little Christmas present to myself sort of thing, is I'm just going to like open it up and have a look and see what it's like. So this is not a tarot deck. It will not follow the structure of tarot. It will not have the familiar characterizations and the rest of it you will get with tarot. So you can already tell that it's being used in a different way, it's being thought of in a different way, it's being conceptualized of in a different way. Some of these divination decks, they're more like an experience. So what you do is you get them, get the little instruction book that goes with it, go to your living room and sit down and look at all the cards, read the instruction book and go through it and try and learn what the authors, the artists and the rest of that is trying to communicate to you, and see whether that can then be useful. So for those of you who have a spirituality that goes along with these things, that could be useful. For those who like storytelling, then that will also be useful as well. It's just another way of like getting symbolism and ideas into you. So what we're going to do is we're going to, because I'm a real man, I'm not going to read the words yet. Okay, I'll leave that aside and we'll go straight to the cards themselves. My initial impression is, well, it's definitely been well packaged. Just get rid of this tiny little bit of paper tape there and see what we can see. Alright, I can't emphasize enough my attitude towards divination decks is the fact that these things are, an art gallery in your pocket. It's beautiful. Okay. So what do we got there? Got some tree symbols. That's alder. Then we got ash. They also got animal symbols as well. That's their version of a badger. Okay. Bit stylized. No, not bit stylized, very stylized. I mean, essentially, like, from the point of view of intuitive reading is concerned, that does not necessarily look like a very comfortable pose for the animal to be in. So I might like have there may be a few negative associations with that particular symbol. This one's called a Balor, which I presume is some variety of Cyclops beast, which I have not yet researched. Banshees, oh god, I mean, just look at the artwork, okay? Check it out. There's, within the Banshee image, there is a sense of emotional expression. It almost reminds me of some of the feelings I get when I see the painting called The Scream, if you get my drift, alright? So it's got that kind of thing going with it. Then there's more animals. Cute, soft, fluffy bears. I think this one, the next one here, must be an American Indian or native cultural reference because it's called a bear walker. Okay, and it's also carrying a staff with various different ornamentations on it. It's got a little bit of everything on that symbol there. So is there anything more dramatic here which I could show you? I mean, what could people use these things for? Definitely meditation with the animals. Definitely meditation. Oh, and also the mermaids. Don't forget the mermaids. Connection with different forms of mythology. We've got the Norns there from the Northern tradition. All right. Was that the Northern tradition or was that the classical lot? I can't recall. I thought it was the Northern tradition. A bat-like image called Oniroi. Interesting. Rattlesnakes. Robin Goodfellow. Jolly good. I would have thought the green would have been a better colour for him though, but I suppose the brown does go with the colour of beer, and so therefore it will probably connect with him quite well. Alright. But I've also put in a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot. So I think that this must be a very cross-cultural thing. I mean, some of it is more like your normal day-to-day stuff, squirrels and things, okay? Standing stones. I mean, you might think I'm not getting anything from this, but just purely from the emotionality of, let's say, the image of standing stones. conjuring up the image of stillness, of ancient wisdoms, conjuring up the image of a place of worship, a place of meditation, contemplation, maybe even a cathedral. Because like a cathedral is like standing stones, but it's made in a different way, if you get my drift. It's got that same feeling or vibration to it. But whereas when you think about a squirrel, you think about a little creature who's burying his nuts and is scampering all over the place, don't you? There's action associated with that side, but there's stillness associated with that side. Okay? There's the urgency to survive in that side. There's the let's be calm and think things through in that side. Okay? Thunderbird, white bison, wolf, and a yew tree. Check out the wolf. Nice little wolf there with red eyes. Awesome. So thinking it through, taking into account what we've seen, either you're someone who may have already felt an emotional or spiritual connection with some of the various symbols of nature which is present within these cards, or you're someone who could be taking, it's even got a dragon card, there we go. Or you'd be someone who would be treating these a bit like, spirits. And therefore you could then use some of the traditional attitudes of, let's say, the Lesser Key of Solomon associated with this, using the cards instead of the seals, and the same with runes as well. But either way, do I think this could be a good divination deck? To a certain extent. I mean, think about what the difference is between a tarot deck and a divination deck. Think about what the difference is between the tarot symbolism, the tarot history, the way in which tarot has been designed, and the thoughts and feelings which goes along with it. And then think about how that's different to natural imagery, and also folk mythology natural imagery as well. I mean, these things may be angels or dryads or whatever it is, but they are essentially a character. It has a personality. There is a different feeling which I get when I look at the different combinations of colour and shape and structure and form, and of course my own personal associations with both the animals as well as some of the various different spiritual forces which is mentioned within the deck itself. I presume that Lianan City would be probably one of those fairy enchantaresses from maybe Ireland, maybe, okay? One of those ladies who suddenly appears mysteriously and then takes you away to your death and doom and destruction. I've met a few like that on eHarmony actually, but that's another story. So, what would you be, what would you want, where would you want to take a deck like this? You'd want to take it to a psychic fair which is much more earth spirit orientated and pagan orientated. You would want to take a deck like this to people who would probably like nature but are afraid of tarot, for instance. So they might feel more comfortable using symbolism like that. Alright. They definitely there for forms of invocation, evocation, and forms of spiritual contact, because nature itself is a form of symbolism. Symbolism itself has consciousness associated with it. Consciousness can therefore be communicated with. The physical experience of this deck when it comes to shuffling is a bit big and bulky. Now, I'm actually quite blessed with quite large hands. Okay, I've got good big hands, long piano player's fingers, even though I don't play a piano. This is still very difficult to shuffle. So then you've got to work out whether you would feel good using these cards in a fair, or whether you'd want to use them at home for your own personal meditation and spirituality. So I think you need to think about that aspect of it too. Would I feel comfortable taking that to a fair? Probably, because I've done that sort of thing. I've done this sort of thing before, and I can incorporate any symbolism into my own methods, because that's what I am. But I couldn't really give this deck to a customer who had bad arthritis and then say shuffle. I just couldn't do that. I would have to think about a smaller, lighter deck. I mean, if there were more quality tarot decks, not like this stupid little erotic tarot deck which I got. I quite like it. It's also a bit crap. All right, but if there was more good tarot decks made of that size, then that could actually be quite a useful thing for lots of people who just want to travel around, and if the circumstances arise and someone wants a reading, you've got the cards there and ready for you. That would be good, and of course much easier to shuffle if you've got some kind of impairment with your hands. Okay. What does the information on the back of this deck say? It says, the Folklore Oracle would enchant your everyday life with magic and wonder, encourage you to see the world around you as full of powerful energies and potential for personal growth. These 60 cards, stunningly illustrated with lino-cut artwork, will connect you with the energies of mythic trees, animals, and beings. Use them to answer your questions, make decisions, fire up your creativity, and bring what's needed into your life. Well, if that's your sort of thing, maybe that could be a deck to have a look at. I think the artwork itself is good. I think this would be a very good thing to use for meditation prior to doing some form of worship-based activity as well, involving nature. For those who do things like, you know, your circle casting and the rest of that, it might be worthwhile to spend 20 minutes in contemplation with this stuff first to get yourself peacefully, tranquilly fired up in the right way, so that everything else you are planning on doing will then make more sense. So I think it does have magical usage. I think it has radionics usage. I think it has divination usage. So therefore it's a good deck. But it is a very different experience. If you're very used to the rune cards or the tarot cards, this will have a different feeling, and you'll need to bring different things, different aspects of yourself to it. And it is asking other things of you because it's a different animal, to be honest. Okay, it's operating in a different way and in a different form. It feels different. The emotionality of it is different. The artistry is different. The sense it gives you is different. But also the one of the benefits, I think, of the, as they call it, the lino-cut style, is that it has a sort of starkness to it. All right, it has a sort of starkness to it, which kind of like reminds me of woodcuts in the old days. All right, think about it. It has that kind of feeling to it. So even though it's brightly coloured, even though it's vibrant, it still has this kind of like sense of a nod to tradition when it comes to the artistry of how these things were created in the old days. So quite a good deck, worthwhile thinking about if that's your sort of thing. What I would say now is Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be it one, be it peace, be it harmony, be it just the good vibration of the good things about this time of year do good things for you, if that makes any sense. Okay, keep cool, and we'll speak again in the new year with more delightful videos about stuff.